Tank and Jake. They've been going at it for years, and it would have happened sooner. You know what I'm saying? But we have hiccups in life. That's what I call it, hiccups. But they lessons to learn from.
Y'all with me? And it was good for us to tell you the truth, because when I stepped back in the head biggest James, I haven't been there. It brought back so much memories.
Amid his recent legal troubles and the cancellation of his fight, Calvin Ford has officially parted ways with Gervonta "Tank" Davis after decades of working together. He confirmed the news during an interview with a popular boxing YouTube channel, stating he was done with Tank's inconsistencies. "Kenny and I are leaving the team," Ford said. "He's getting into too much trouble and not listening to us. There's no point in staying when your fighter refuses to change."
What's going on with Tank, and are we going to see, and when are we going to see him back?
He got a little legal issue. As soon as they get through the courts, they'll set a date, and all we can do is wait. I don't get into that side, you know what I mean? I'm just there.
Tank has yet to release a statement regarding the split. However, many boxing fans claim they saw it coming, as Calvin Ford did not take part in Tank's training camp before his fight against Lamont Roach. The two reportedly tried to patch up their relationship, just as Tank had been patching up his boxing career since withdrawing from his rematch against Roach. Ford explained that the idea of splitting first came up when Tank announced his retirement without informing them, back in January. Davis H.
Like come back and help too, you know what I mean? So it's much love to the whole Mayweather promotion, you know what I mean? Ain't no bad.
People kept saying things like, "Come back and help too, you know what I mean?" Much love to the entire Mayweather Promotions family, no bad blood. Tank said, "I want to do therapy, but I feel like if I do, I'll lose the fire inside me. I want to release everything so I never think about fighting again, or even getting angry. I have 2 daughters, and I want them to be softer and more humble."
What was going through your mind when you heard the decision?
Nobody like a draw, you know, from a guy that get knockouts and things like that, but it's cool. I feel like if we fight again, I could do more, and I should have did more. I was lost in you can get knocked out like that, so I'd rather take the knee than, you know. But I didn't really know that you can like get disqualified for all that, or like when you start counting, I'm like, what the hell? But I don't know.
It's all about being true to yourself. You just need to be honest with yourself. Faking it, doing something you no longer want to do, that's when something's wrong, Davis said. Shortly after this statement, Gervonta Davis entered training camp for another fight, without Calvin Ford. Despite the team's efforts to keep things quiet, it's now clear that there have been underlying issues since the beginning of the year.
What's going on with Tank, and are we going to see, and when are we going to see him back?
He got a little legal issue. As soon as they get through the courts, they'll set a date, and all we can do is wait. I don't get into that side, you know what I mean? I'm just there when they need me.
This was the eventual result of the silent misunderstandings that had been going on in Tank's corner since the build-up to the Lamont Roach fight.
But no Calvin for CCO. I know Calvin, you know what I mean? I don't know.
The tension first began when Calvin Ford decided to step away from Tank and focus on his younger trainees instead. It's common knowledge among boxing fans that Tank doesn't pay his trainers well, although Ford has repeatedly denied those claims, insisting that he and Tank share a father-son relationship. He eventually grew tired of Tank's behavior and excused himself from the team. Ford was clearly unhappy, and to avoid conflict, he distanced himself from Tank's training camp. At that point, Tank wasn't willing to understand.
Hey Tank, real talk. Will Calvin be with you on this fight? Come on, you Tank.
Huh?
Will Calvin be with you on this fight?
I don't know. We gotta see.
What do you think about the guy yelling in the back? Did that kind of get...
There wasn't an outright fight between them, but it was obvious things weren't good. The drama that unfolded on fight night marked the beginning of their real fallout. Gervonta Davis had ignored Calvin's advice during the fight, having already pushed him away in the build-up.
And he know when I go spend time with my piece, I'm going through things. You know what I'm saying? When he was there, at least I know where he was at. Because it was something that we didn't do. It was something that we normally do.
Tank reportedly felt that Calvin Ford no longer had the right to tell him what to do since Ford didn't make the effort to attend his training camp. During one of the later rounds, when Calvin advised him to be more cautious, Davis snapped, "Calvin, calm down and listen to me." The moment was widely criticized by fans and figures in the boxing community as disrespectful.
You guys calm down and listen to me.
Hey, come on now. He's trying to get it. Get that in there. There you go. There you go. That's what they do. There you go. Stay good. Stay focused. That was a good round. You got it. Turn up now. I want all three of these.
One fan commented, "I feel bad for that man. Tank is so disrespectful and rude. He wouldn't be where he is without Calvin." Another added, "If I had someone like Calvin Ford in my corner, I'd be forever grateful. He'd never lack anything in life." A third fan condemned Davis's actions harshly, calling him an ingrate and a wicked person. He calls Calvin his dad, but then treats him like that. It's unbelievable.
No, I wasn't really paying attention to the crowd. You know what I mean? I was more so, it's something we gotta work on in the corner, for sure.
Before the split became public, the official story was that Calvin was merely taking a step back, and that the training structure remained unchanged. Reporters made it clear at the time that they weren't implying a breakup between Ford and Davis.
This question is for Coach Calvin Ford. This is Matt from Brunch Boxing.
Well, man.
Now, we know that Tank has talked in the past about retiring, leaving the game of boxing. As someone that's had Tank since basically he was a pup and you've raised him as a boxer.
Fans initially believed it was just a temporary shakeup that might revert back to the old setup once Davis returned after a few months. However, Prime Video cameras later caught footage of Davis yelling over Calvin Ford's advice between rounds, shouting, "Listen to me." Now, Calvin Ford and Kenny Ellis have made it clear that they're taking a firm stand against any form of domestic violence, distancing themselves from Tank following his latest legal case.